Jeremiah, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me back. Excited to be here.
Dude, the first time I looked at your schedule, the first time I saw no tour dates, it must feels awesome, bro. Just to chill out.
It feels nice to chill out. There's also that sense of withdrawal where you're home for a few weeks and you're like, man, that tour was intense, and then and then you miss it again. So
the FOMO.
Yeah.
Never.
How do you get through that? How do you get through that in your head, bro? Because you've been touring forever, and you go home, and then I know you have a kid now and a wife.
Yeah,
but
2 kids now.
Wow. Congrats! Let's go, bro. Let's go.
Thank you so much.
We're getting those genes out there.
Yeah, I'm doing.
But how do you get through that in your head? It's like, how do you change your point of view of like, I'm always touring, now I'm slowing down?
It's hard. I think for me, and I think every musician is probably somewhat similar, but everyone has their own way of dealing with it. I think for me, when I'm home for more than, if I'm home for more than like 3 weeks and I go back on tour and it's, maybe like, could be 4 weeks, could be 8 weeks. I think that the first few days back on tour, landing in a new city, a new country, living out of a bag again, I don't like that. And then after 3 or 4 or 5 days, you get really used to it, and everything sort of like simplifies on tour because you just have your backpack and you have all your clothes and essentially your whole life in these bags. So you're living in a simplified means. You're on a tour. You have a schedule set out for you almost down to the minute. You're doing all these shows. So then when you go home, you have this house and all this space, and you no longer live out of a bag. It's amazing, but it's also oddly overwhelming. And then, when you get back home, you're like, finally, my own bed, my cup of coffee, the way I do it, cook my pasta the way I do it. And then sometimes you're like grocery shopping for milk at 4 days into home, and you're like, oh man, I miss the road. That just happens. It's like the grass is always greener or something, but both. I just feel really blessed that we have both because we're probably more on tour than we are home in the last decade. But
that's crazy.
That's a good sign. Business is good, I guess, in that regard. And we're really lucky to travel. And I remember when Wes and I started the band probably 18 years ago. But the first album, though, I guess came out 10 or 11 years ago. One of the 10-year goals was to like go to Europe. And we did that on the first record. And I think as an American band, the idea of leaving the United States was like, well, even if we went to Canada, but Europe was this like 10-year goal. And we were lucky enough to do that in the first record. And then just going to places like Asia and South Africa and New Zealand and all these other, South America. We finally just went back there. After 9 years of not going there, it was amazing.
Holy
it was
shit.
it's just so cool to be like, we're in Colombia, we're in Argentina, we're in Brazil. And it's really surreal to try to take stock of all that. It's hard. When you're moving so much, it is hard to take stock of that. It is hard to realize what is happening. Only when you stop, and sort of ponder, you're like, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. Did you think 18 years ago you'd be selling out baseball fields?
I think I had a feeling that something was going to work, but what that meant was not this. I think what I thought was going to happen was that I'd be happy and I'd be able to make it work, and that me and Wes, we would be able to make it work. I think you plan for it to go maybe the way it went, but you don't have any indicators, and you have to be a little bit naive, a little bit crazy, a little bit stupid to think it's actually going to work out.
Yeah, dude.
That's so practical, yeah.
And I think that,
I went to your first show. My girlfriend in the time was from Amsterdam. I went to your first Paradiso show with her.
No way.
And yeah, dude, watching you in the church, I think it made me fall in love for the first time, dude. It was so romantic. You guys are out there. You guys are out in the pillars, and it was very special.
Is that Amsterdam, you said?
Yeah, Paradiso, that old church.
Yeah, we've played there, I think, a few times, and it's just so cool to. That's so rad you were there. Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy, man, and it's like just to see the joy in your face. I mean, you guys inspired me. "Flowers in Your Hair" was the song that inspired me to keep going with music. When I first heard that record, the whole record was fire. I mean, you write great tunes, man. I want to talk about your lyrics as well, but that first record was, lightning in a bottle. Did you feel that right away, or did it take a while for you to understand that this record was that powerful?
I felt that it was. I remember when we were getting the mixes back. We were getting them back from. I was back in Denver, and we were getting them back, and we were burning them on CDs and listening for the mix. And I remember the first time sitting on like a friend's couch, and nobody knew who we were. We were called the Lumineers at that point. The record was done. I had it on a burned CD. We were in a friend's house in Denver by 10, 11 years ago, whatever it was. And I was like, do you guys want to listen to our new album coming out? And people were like, I don't know, dude. Like, do I? Like,
sure, yeah, send it to me.
Some dude's like new band, like that usually doesn't, I don't know if that goes well ever. So they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then after Even Flowers in Your Hair, I remember one girl was like, yo, this is like actually good. Like, kind of.
That is a great compliment, though.
I remember listening to it, and and this was a really cool experience. We opened up for U2, and Bono was telling us this crazy story. We only met him really once backstage at the first of like the 10 shows we opened up for them. And Bono was telling us this really cool perspective he had, where he was saying, like, when he's listening to their latest release, he's like, when you listen to that with your own ears, you're listening to it as the way you are, like you help create that. But when other people are in the room, he's like, that's kind of our litmus test for if it's good or not. He's like, when other people are in the room and you're listening to the new album, you're listening through their ears. And I think that moment when I was listening to our debut record in a group of some people I knew, some people I didn't, I was like listening through it. And I was like, this is, in my mind, I just felt like it was undeniable. Not in the sense of like, this is going to be a chart topping like anything like superficial like that. I just thought, this is honest music. I know this is good. If this doesn't work out, and like if every review is nasty, I still know it's good. And I think that's also attributed to, there's this great Tom Petty documentary we saw, and he said, you have your 20 years to write your first record and 2 years to write your second record.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's really what happened with the first record. We had different band names, and me and Wes probably wrote close to 75 to 100 songs before Flowers in Your Hair, before that first record. So it was like, that really literally was like the greatest hits of 10 years, or maybe 8 years before anyone knew who we were. So we had all these songs to choose from, and we chose those. And then the only thing left over for album 2 was like a snippet of Sleep on the Floor, snippet of Ophelia.
Oh, shit.
There were some other things, but it was like, those were the best songs that we chose for the first record. They were all done, and we were like, this is the vibe. And it was music I felt like all the other songs we were writing before that debut album, I was like, I don't know. I'm really glad that we didn't find any success with those other songs, because I don't know if I would have still believed in it. But with this songs, I was like, I feel like I'll believe in this when I'm 50, when I'm 60, because there's something about, I think we were not necessarily trying to make something timeless, but just make something that, I don't know, it was honest. And I feel like it's like a cheesy word sometimes, but it just really felt honest. It felt like we're doing this and we're trying to, every 5 or 10 years too, every next band, it's like a victim of circumstance, where there's just so many bands and so many songs. What can you do to stand out from the rest? I think there's something like I think 80,000 songs are uploaded to Spotify every day.
Holy shit, really?
It's some staggering number. So like, if you want to start a band, good luck.
It's like, welcome home, brother.
That's not even counting the AI ones.
What are you going to do? Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do?
That's the people doing it
to stand out. And I think those were a lot of conversations we had, a lot of philosophical conversations about what can we do to stand out. And then like, even the decisions to intentionally not do things musically helped us stand out. I think like that first record, there's almost no drums on it. It's very bare. It's very minimalistic. I think we were like kind of obsessed with this idea of minimalism, and like, let's just get to the point, the melody, help the storytelling, the production of the song, how to make it, how to emote something through speakers to people that don't know your band and why they should listen to you and all that. So, and that's what we've continued all the way through. You know, we've made 4 Lumineers records, and I made a solo album, Piano Piano 1. I got a new one coming out, and I think that it's the same. Even though my solo projects don't have lyrics, it's like it's the same. It's the same idea. It's just trying to make something that honest and trying to make something that when I'm home alone and when I hit spacebar, if it moves me in some way, and just to have that feeling again, if you can listen to it with somebody else on the couch and they're like, yeah, that's hitting them, you know, that's just a great feeling. That's what you strive for. You don't always get it right, but that's what you go for sure.
Is it hard to like not feel like you need to be pigeonholed into a certain sound as you make records? You know, like you guys are always developing your sound, but like, are there outside sources saying like, why can't it sound like the first record or the second record, or do you guys not care about that?
No, we're so lucky in that regard. We don't care. We wouldn't listen if anybody said that, and we literally don't have anybody saying that. I mean, we finished the record. We don't have like A&R people in the studio. Our managers don't come into the studio and be like, "Hey, fellas, there's no single," you know.
That's a great way to make a good song.
Hey, this is Johnny Two Tones. We need another single, kid.
Yeah.
I don't watch you do spreadsheets. You don't come watch me do music.
Yeah, that would be a really like kind of lame vibe. So we're really lucky in that regard. And I love this idea. I just recently saw a clip of that famous producer Rick Rubin, where he was sort of like, the audience should be like the last consideration when making art. And I think that that's really actually profound, and some people might be like feel insulted by that as an audience member, but I think it's actually ironically the best way to serve the audience is to ignore them, is to make something that is so personal and so beautiful to you that will actually probably translate to more people at the end of the day. And if you try to come up with an algorithm like, what were the top 50 songs of this year? Let's find an average BPM. What key? Oh, it was all in C major. Oh, okay. What did they do? That would just be like a really weird way to go about it, I think, and wouldn't be musical or artistic. Also, I guess so.
True.
We just make what we want, and it's a selfish endeavor, but it actually seems to help our selfishness seems to help our music translate across to a lot of people. That's good.
My man, I mean, this man writes hits. He's been writing hits for fucking 15 years. He knows what he's talking about.
But like, there's something to be said for being that confident in your first album too. Like, that's so artistically, like it's how you should be.
So do you feel that way towards? So now you're making your second. You're going solo like Tupac, Jeremiah. How do you feel? How do you feel about the same without having like everyone else, your band there with you? How do you feel about writing music by yourself? Do you feel that same confidence?
Yeah, I think it's like, I think my level of confidence with songwriting is sort of boiled down to this idea. I've always kind of loved this idea that it's like the day you say you're good at something is probably the day you start to decline in that. So like the day I'm like, oh man, I'm an awesome dad. This is like autopilot. It's like you're not going to show up as much. And I think the day that you're like, I got this thing down, music is so easy. It's definitely the day where you're like, you're going to make like the worst album ever, and you're just going to be delusional and be like, I'm on album 15. Nobody likes it around me, but they're all crazy. I know this is good. You know, I never want to be in that delusional band where we're like on our 29th album. Because I'm not going to say any bands, but there's been like so many bands that have like broken my heart with like, they've gotten so big. They've strayed so far from like the source material that made me a diehard fan for life.
Yeah.
And I'm just sometimes like, what are you guys doing? Like, this is so crazy, but people got to do what's going to make them happy. But I think with Piano Piano and the side project, it's that playful exploration. It's that the confidence is like, there's probably no confidence other than like, I'm going to work on it until I think it's good. And then when it's finished, it's sort of that ambiguous, like, it's easier to know when it's not done. And then at some point you're like, this is done. And, working just instrumental, trying to figure out not trying to use too many strings, but wanting to branch out from the piano. So the album is really, it always based around the piano. And on this album, I did something different than on the first piano record, which was I did a Radiohead cover called No Surprises with Gregory Alan Isaacoff. And that was really cool because for me, Radiohead's my favorite band. They've influenced me so many times that every time they release an album, it's just like this paradigm shifting piece of art that's just always like smoked me, and it's been so inspiring. So I always loved that song, and I started learning the piano, and I thought, it would be really cool to get a singer on this record, but just on one song is like an arbitrary rule. And me and Gregory, we had become close. He'd come on tour with the Lumineers. We've been on tour like a few times now. We got really close on tour. He was a really big champion of the first record, Piano. He has like a farm up in Boulder where he lives.
Right.
And he's like, dude, whenever we're like washing the veggies, like, piano's on. Like, I just thought that was really cool that, someone like him who is so lyrically driven and so songwriter driven got my solo album instrumental record. I was like, man, that's just a huge compliment. He asked me to open up for him at Red Rocks, which I did last year with the solo project, which was like insane.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was me and 3 string players and a drummer at Red Rocks last September, I guess like 5 or 6 months ago. And that was like a dream come true. So I called him up and I was like, do you want to be on the piano too? I got this idea. I was on tour with the Lumineers at the time, and he said, yeah, let's try some stuff out. Let's collaborate. So I sent him, I don't know how much, you're a musician. So there's 12 keys. You got C major, C sharp major, D major. Yeah. So I think I sent him the song of No Surprises in literally like 11 keys. What is it, 12 keys? Like, because he was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm feeling this one. So I think I sent him like 5 or 6 different keys. And there were certain parts of the song where we both agreed, like, it's cool when your voice goes low here, but then it's like kind of too high here, but then it's like too low there, all that stuff. So we just went through like key after key. And I think I sent him all 12 keys. And then there was one key in particular, and this is the one we landed on, but there was one key in particular. It was hard too, because he would send me these like beautiful takes that were all pristine, and they were all like, each one was better than the last. And I was like, shit, they're all good. How am I going to pick one? And I remember I was on tour. We just played a show. My wife and our 2 kids, they were asleep, and I was in this hotel room and all the lights were off, and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I was still awake, and I listened to, 5 or 6 different voice memos he sent me. And there was just this one, and I tried to do like a blind test. I didn't want to know what I was listening to. I just wanted to listen to one. And I, like 3rd or 4th listen in, something just hit me where I was like levitating out of the hotel room. And I was like, what's this key? And I think it was D sharp major. And I texted him and I was like, dude, this one is just smoking me right now, man. Just do this one. He was like, all right, that's great. And it was just such a cool way to collaborate. It was like we never actually met up in person one time. I organized a lot. I orchestrated all like the strings and the piano. He tried out some guitar. The track sort of rejected the guitar. But man, what he did with his vocals was just so crazy and life-changing.
He's special, man.
He's so special, and he is such just like microscopic attention to detail. So he did a lead track. He did a couple background vocals, but in the song, people that know the song No Surprises, on the final chorus, in like classic Tom York fashion, there's these great lyrics. I never even knew what he was singing, but I guess he's singing "Get Me Out of Here." And I have a terrible singing voice, but it's sort of this like, it's very deep in the mix, and it's like reverbed out and like, get me out. Like it's very, you can't even understand what he's saying. And I was like, yo, Gregory, if you want to try to, emulate some sort of like, record yourself 10 times and just have fun with it. And what he sent back, I was like, holy shit, this is just, dude. He did it, and he stacked, 10 or 15 Gregorys, and I had goosebumps, and I was like, wow, this is like, I was hoping for a home run with him, and it was total grand slam. So yeah,
it's amazing.
It was just really, really cool to work with him on that.
Think about this a lot, Jeremiah. Like, you live in Italy and stuff. Like, being in a band's all about camaraderie and trying to like bonding with your brothers. And then you get later in your career and everyone disperses, has families, kids. Like, how hard is it to like connect with the boys when you're fucking 10-hour time zones away? Like, how do you like bond still?
I think that it's about showing up. And I love this idea that somebody said that like 99% of life is showing up. And I think, I guess what I mean by that is like, in our case, you know, the core of the band, me and Wes started the band 18, 19 years ago. And then the touring band is me and Wes, of course. And then we have Stealth on piano, Byron on bass, Brandon on like auxiliary, basically every instrument. And then Lauren Jacobson on violin, piano, singing. And we find ways, you know, we'll do like random Zooms where we all like connect because nobody lives in the same state anymore. I think that we have a band member in Cali, Arizona, Colorado, New York, Tennessee, and I'm in Italy. So the power of technology, you know, we'll do like a Zoom call and we'll kind of meet in the middle because I'm 9 hours ahead of the LA time. So my band, they're very nice and they always kind of help we all find an average that works. And when we're on tour, it's really great. That's the easiest time to connect. Maybe you go out if you're near an ocean, maybe let's go swimming and let's get an ice cream. Or we love this Italian card game called Scopa. When I met my wife, Francesca, you know, years ago, I got into this game called Scopa. And we used to play every night whenever we were dating, and I'd go over to Italy, me and my wife and her parents, we play Scopa every night after dinner. It's this amazing Italian card game. The whole band got like really obsessed with it. And my father-in-law, whenever he'd come on tour, he'd give out decks of cards because they're like specific decks. You know, they're not like
a different deck. Okay,
it's not like ace through king. There's all the Italian names, and I think I've single-handedly taught close to like 30 or 40 crew members how to play the game. So it's no joke. The Lumineers love this game Scopa, so we play that a lot on tour. And then then it's like, okay, tours. You know, we just finished 2 years of tour. Now it's like, you know, everybody scatters like cockroaches into the wind, and you just try to find ways, maybe simple text here and there, or Zoom calls, and just ways to connect. And obviously, like at the same time, some space is nice and healthy. And then when you see each other again, to start doing rehearsals or getting back in the studio or to resume a tour, it's an incredible feeling. The embraces you feel to see each other again, to be around each other again.
After a 2-year tour, I'd be like, get the fuck up. My band, get out of here. That's what I was thinking.
I was thinking, absence makes the heart grow fonder.
2-year tour, man, a world tour. That's dude. When you booked that thing, was it like, oh shit, this is real? I'm about to be on tour for 2 years, or did you like schedule it good because you have kids now? So like, how is that in your head?
I think it's easier in some way that you're not seeing how the sausage is made. You're not part of the tour booking process. You're just part of the approval process. And obviously, I mean, sometimes it's like a long PDF will be sent to us and say, you know, this is 6 weeks in Europe. You guys see any red flags about too many shows in a row? Or, hey, there's like a snag with the routing. We might have to get off the bus and take a ferry. But most of the time it's like, I don't know, that works. It seems good. It seems cool.
They know what they're doing.
But it's a little bit easier maybe because it's almost like somebody else is like saying, well, we think this would be the best thing to do. How does this look to you guys? And we're like, we see no red flags, or, oh, wow, we're doing like Wrigley Field. Like, fuck yeah, that sounds amazing.
It's crazy.
And it's not, incredible. It's not 2 years straight. It is a lot. The breaks, sometimes you're out for like a month and maybe you go home for 5 or 6 days and then you're out for another 2 months. I think it was 2 years ago in 2022, I left my house for about 4 months, and that was pretty atypical. I think what had happened was after COVID and the world started to open up, like if you take a garden hose and you hold it and then you release it, the water shoots out. I think that's what happened with every band in the world. So we were one of those many bands that were like, we missed it so much. I think a lot of fans missed not obviously just the Lumineers, but just so much live music and concerts. So I think it was making up lost time, and it was I did like this little experiment. It was a fun thing where I took a photo a day with like a Polaroid or an Instax Fujifilm camera, and posted one photo a day on Instagram, and it was like, day 1 and then day 17 and then like day 89. And
holy shit.
I think I got up, I remember day 115. It might have even been like day 120 or something, but yeah, that was a lot. Like that was insane. And, when you went home, you're like, I'm happy to be home right now. Big time. Yeah. That was, but it was also, I don't know, it was amazing. It was life changing. It was so rewarding in so many ways. And,
pretty surreal.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking surreal, bro. Like stadiums in different countries.
Baseball stadiums too. That's especially cool. Yeah. The history of it and just like.
What was the biggest one? What were you like? Holy shit! Like it just like it was like gigantic. Like what the hell
I think Wrigley Field had that. Like, oh wow, this is crazy. I think it was. For me, it was like in some weird way, like 10 times more fun to play that stadium than it was to do the baseball stadium in Denver. And I think because, it was like my parents were at the Denver show. We were from Denver, sort of. We're really from Jersey, but Denver's become such a second home that, we lived here for more than 10 years. And I think there was just so much pressure and so much buildup to like, we're playing Colorado Rockies baseball stadium. It's crazy.
Yeah,
and
crazy.
It was our first bona fide stadium as like a headliner. Yeah. So I think that first one was just a lot of like nerves and a lot of like in my own head. I think a little bit for all of us. So then when we got to Wrigley in Chicago, it was just like, let's just have fun. And I think just even the physicality of Wrigley, like we started the show, we're playing a song called Bright Side, where I come out of the bottom of the stage on a riser starting this big drum beat. And when I came out, I looked to my left and I just saw like an ocean of people, and it was so far back, the stands, and it was so high. And I just remember doing like a slow pan and just being like, oh, like it literally looked like an ocean and a tidal wave of people. And I was just like, oh shit, this is that addictive feeling that I kind of alluded to at the beginning of our talk, where some bands that have broken my hearts artistically, I think what probably happens is you get that feeling. It's so addictive where you're like, there's 42,000 people there. And that's like tip of the iceberg. I mean, look what Taylor Swift's doing. Look what Coldplay's doing. They're doing like 80, 90,000 people sometimes in these soccer stadiums all over the world.
Yeah, multiple nights.
Multiple nights. Wembley holds 75, 80,000 people in England. So I think what happens at some point is you're like, let's just do that all the time. And you can't make music. You can't just make any music you want and do that. I would say you could probably count on one hand the amount of bands that got to the stadium level naturally. And like I would throw U2 in there, even though like Bono is such a showman, such like and they wrote like stadium rock hit, but like you can tell certain bands they were like, we want to become stadium. Like look at even Coldplay, like they went from Parachutes and Rush of Blood to the Head. At some point you could tell, and that there's nothing wrong with that, but you could tell Coldplay was like, we want to be like a big band. We want to be a stadium band, like globally. We want to be in Brazil doing like 5 nights. I think they did 14 nights at like the biggest soccer stadium in Argentina, Buenos Aires.
Damn.
And to each his own. But I think that, that there's something to keep that in check, where I don't think we ever really wrote anything like, in fact, I know we never wrote stuff to be like, well, this is going to like maybe move the needle and get us into stadiums. I think we're getting in there slowly. We're dipping our toes. Things like Rocky Stadium, things like Wrigley are crazy.
Right.
And those are definitely moments. There was actually a really funny moment too. A long time ago, we played in Canada. And it was a festival. Forget what it was called, where it was, but I just remember it was in Canada. And I remember for some reason, the band, none of us were together. Maybe we had like a 6 or 7 day break where we all went home, where we all like, again, scattered to the wind. And we all met up in Canada. And it was like, everybody flew to the airport. Some of us went to the hotel. We met in the green room. We never saw the stage because our beautiful, amazing crew set up all of our instruments. There was no sound check because it was so dialed in. We played probably like already 150 shows that year. So we don't even need to sound check anymore. Right. So we're like backstage hanging out with each other. And, we all hug each other. We're like, all right, let's go play the show. And we walk out on stage. and I think there was like 63,000 people out there. And we had no idea because it was sort of this perfect storm. It was this perfect storm of like, it was a festival in Canada, maybe Vancouver, Toronto, I forget which city, where it's like a 10-day festival. And it was the first, maybe like the first Friday of the like that festival, and we were one of the headliners.
Yeah.
So all the Canadians, they're going to go to that more than like the Wednesday show. Right. So it was like a perfect storm that we had a lot of fans in Canada, but it was also like the first Friday. People want to go out, let loose.
Right.
So it was crazy. They were like the only two bands ever to beat that. Was like Sting and the Foo Fighters, and we were like, all right, that's pretty good.
I've heard of them.
Let's fucking go, Jeremy. I'm clapping for you, buddy.
No, but
let's go.
It was funny because we were on stage. I remember being on the drums and looking at somebody and just being like just this kind of like, and that actually prompted us to be like, if we ever have, more than, I don't know, 10 days or 2 weeks apart from each other, we should play before the show, because we went onto that stage so cold. We hadn't seen each other, and we were like, let's do the show, because you just, at some point you're just going, you don't even know where you are half the time.
Autopilot. Yeah.
And it was actually like, it was cool, but it was also so unnerving that it was a good problem to have, but we were like, that was really like wild. And it was just shocking to be on stage and you're like, oh, damn.
Yeah, we should probably have a little band practice before we do a little 63,000.
Hey, there's a small city in the Midwest here.
You're playing to a population of a town right now.
It's a Rust Belt town.
What about, you guys write such anthemic songs. Like, was it like hard to like transition the set into these stadium sets? I mean, your songs are so intimate, but they're also so anthemic. Like, how was the approach of like picking a set that really translated well to 63,000 people? Like the power. Like, what you guys? How did that take a while to?
I feel like
fix?
it was easy in the sense that with the first record, which was like, if you listen to it again, it's very minimalistic. It's very at times somber. There is "Oh Hey," there is "Flowers in Your Hair," there is "Stubborn Love." But there's songs like "Slow It Down." There's songs that are very not necessarily your upbeat, type song. And I think that we saw so much success with the first album, and we had done so many shows. We were touring and playing like maniacs, that the first album cycle almost lasted like 3 or 3.5 years, because the typical album cycle is supposed to last like 18 to 24 months.
Yeah.
But we had already been touring on that album before it came out for like at least a year.
Right.
So then it came out, it struck a chord with a lot of people. And then we started doing these shows where I remember it's just that thing that will never happen again. And it was the coolest fucking feeling in the world, where shows started to go on sale in like Seattle, and you'd get that email, that call, hey, the show at the 600 cap venue in Seattle just sold out. We got to bump it up to 1,200 people. And you're like, what? The show's 3 weeks out. And then sometimes even on that first tour, when the album was out and "Oh Hey" was going nuts and everything was happening, they'd be like, hey, we were, Chicago, we had to go from 1,000 to a 2,000 cap. And then that sold out too fast. So now we got to go to like a 5,000 cap. And you're like, all right, this is crazy. And then I remember that phone call where they're like, the tickets for your Madison Square Garden first show are going to go on sale this Saturday. And then getting a call, it'd be like, the Garden is sold out in like 27 minutes. We got to put a second show on. And we're like, holy shit, this is just.
Oh my God.
And me and Wes, coming from North Jersey, that was like the Mecca. I mean, if you're coming from Colorado, it's probably like, I got to play Red Rocks. And this was like the Garden.
Gotta play the Garden, baby.
And it was like, and then we started playing Coachella and Lollapalooza. So I'm getting to answering your question. So we were playing all these festivals, and we were getting really good time slots because we just kept getting bigger and bigger so fast. But we only had that first record, and we were like, I remember early on, we noticed a lot of bands at festivals were playing the heavy stuff, the fast stuff, screaming, getting very loud. And we were almost like, we might stand out if we're like not doing that. And if people lean in, if you remove stuff, if you play songs with no drums, it was a little bit of like strategic alchemy, and it was also just circumstantial. We literally only had those 10 or 11 songs, and they were like, it's a 60-minute set. That's what we're paying you to do.
Well,
like,
we had to.
You know, this album, you know, live clocks out at like 34 minutes, so we're gonna have to play some covers and stuff.
Yeah, you guys know any Neil Young?
Yeah, so we were playing a lot of those quieter, softer songs, and it still seemed to really do well. Like, you know, like Flapper Girl, we were playing that at like huge festivals, and we were trying to do things though that me and Wes always talked about this early on, and we still talk about it. Is this idea of like non-musical moments that, like, unless you're like jazz or classical genre, it's pretty unlikely that people are going to see a band and be like, I saw this band last night. They played so well. It was awesome. You know, like if you see Noah Kahan or Zach Bryan or Bon Iver, you're not going to be like, they were so precise on their instruments last night. It's like, it's going to be something that they did that was not musical that is going to make you a fan for life. And I think that with the song Flapper Girl, there's this little like piano solo. And what we would do is sometimes we'd either bring a fan on stage and we had this little toy piano, and I'd give that toy piano to somebody, like some random fan. And then I'd play this like, you know, piano solo on this like janky ass toy piano, or we'd play Ho Hey in the crowd. Even if it was like 70,000 people at a festival, we'd find a way to go play Ho Hey in the crowd. Like, you know, just like doing these things that were not musical. So I think, you know, some people call that gimmick. Some people call that a shtick. I think it was like, you call it what you want. When you drive 12, 15 hours to your next gig and you want to make this your career, you'll do anything to like get people to notice you. And I think that if you can do it again in an honest way, in a way that is like honest to your craft, I think it was like these effective things that we did, and you know, we still do. And I think that, you know, some people do it louder than others. Jimi Hendrix lighting his guitar on fire, that's like one of those examples where that's not musical at all, but people will talk about that till the sun explodes, you know.
Almost more.
No, I agree. I mean, you guys are the reason why I get in the crowd. I saw your first show and I saw you guys out there in the crowd doing these. You know who else was really good at that? Damien Rice. Damien Rice was great about.
I didn't know he did that actually.
Oh, he was the man. He'd go in there and make it'd be just pin quiet. But like,
I've seen Arcade Fire do it really well. I've seen and sometimes you can make people lean in a different way too. I've seen Bon Iver and Gregory Alan Isaacoff do it really well too.
Greg
where
does a good job.
Gregory does this thing really well, where he gets an Omni microphone, you know, a mic that records.
Yeah.
And he'll put it like at the front of the stage, and he'll get all of his acoustic band members that all have acoustic instruments that just to play around him. And it's sort of this like light, dim, lean in moment. And then when you play something anthemic or loud after that, that contrast is really great. And I think that, you know, that anticipation that you tease people along, and if you're just loud the whole set, it's fatiguing, it's boring.
Yeah.
If you're just quiet the whole set, that can be great too. Like some artists like have they're like ninjas with that. Like you only want to see them be quiet, and somehow they pull that off. I don't know how to do that well, but I think finding that mix, finding that balance is the key.
That's why you're so good at it. What about your kids? Man. They're 6-year-old now. Do they give you the guilt trip of you leaving now? Like, where you going now? God damn it! You know.
I'll say this.
Yeah.
It's our son. I'm trying to think. When he was younger, you know, I'm trying to think, when he was like my daughter's age, he must have been older than 2, because my daughter now is, I guess, 2, going on 2.5, and she has no idea when I'm leaving. Obviously I kiss her, obviously I hug her goodbye, but if I said I'm leaving for 2 days or 2 years, she would be like, bye daddy, you know.
Yeah.
The hardest thing in the world, and this was so heartbreaking, was that like I probably left on 7, 8, 9 different tours. And then there was that one tour where he was probably 2.5 or 3, and he understood what it meant for dad to leave.
Oh no.
What do you mean you're going? like having some sort of like semblance of a concept of like dad's going away for like a long time, um, crying and like, don't go. And like, where are you going? And like, that was just like, like knife in the heart. Now it's obviously like you have like a big boy conversation about it where I'll start prepping him like 2 months out, like, a month out, like Tommaso, in a month, daddy's leaving for like 3 weeks, and then maybe like 2 weeks before. But he gets it, he's come on so many tours. He saw more of the world at his age of 5 than I saw the first like 28 years of my life. Like it's unbelievable what he's seen. And he doesn't probably even realize that he's seen a lot of the world. It's just been normal for him. Like, oh yeah, we're going to London next week, or Brooklyn, or like LA, or going to Paris again this month. And it's, I took my first flight when I was 19 and saw the Pacific Ocean, and I was like, I can die now. I saw the Pacific Ocean. Holy shit.
I flew southwest.
I literally like verbalized that out to my friend Todd, who we went with. I was like, dude, we just saw the Pacific Ocean. That will never happen again.
Let's go get jobs.
Yeah.
Damn.
And so,
Let's go get jobs.
But I'm sure it's cyclical too, where they love coming on tour. And I'm sure when my son turns like 12 or 13, 14 or 15, it's going to be that thing where he loves to travel. And then he might be like, Dad, I want to stay with my friends, or I want to stay with my girlfriend, or I just want to stay home and like chill. I don't want to go on tour. That's going to be like a whole nother challenge where I'm going to be like, well, I'm going on tour for 6 weeks. Like, I want you to come, and can't force you kids to come. But so I think it's going to be cyclical and then maybe when they turn like 20 or 24, they might be like, oh, wow, the novelty of traveling. I'm sure they'll be super sick of our music at that point. But
no, you're gonna put them in the band. You're like, you're the bass player now, Tommaso.
They're gonna want to open. They're gonna want to open. They open for you.
What a hit name, Tommaso. Is that how you pronounce it, Tommaso?
Yeah, my Italian counterparts, it's like they really pronounce the double M. It's like Tommaso. Tommaso, vieni qua, Tommaso. I call him T-Bone, Tommy, Tom.
He made it.
He had a nickname at one point. His nickname on tour was called Tater Tot because he was just destroying tater tots in the catering.
I can identify with that.
So, but it needed to be a name that I could pronounce also. Yeah. So like Tommaso, I was like, that's Italian, but I can do that. With our daughter, her name is Dakota. And I say Dakota, like my mother-in-law is like Dakota, it's like very, it's just how it is. It's very different, the pronunciation. Same with me. Like I'm sometimes like Jeremiah, because the J actually doesn't exist in the Italian alphabet, which is something I learned a while ago. But my wife, she loved another name at some point, and I was like, I literally can't pronounce that. It can't be that name.
Yeah.
But we landed on Dakota at some point. I forget even, where it even came from. We just thought it was a beautiful name. And when she was born, we were like, we got it right.
Does your wife, when she's really pissed at you, just start yelling at you in Italian?
No, like, both. It's both.
It's both.
She's well versed in also the English at this point. But it's funny actually. Like when I'm over there, I mean, we live there most of the time. If I like drop my phone on the sidewalk, I will like curse in Italian. It's just just comes naturally. And then if I, do something stupid here, equally, which is all the time in America, I'll be cursing in English. But your brain starts to switch. It's weird.
It's crazy.
Where I live in Turin, it's very Italian in that, like, it's definitely not Milan. It's not Rome.
Yeah.
Right,
it's not a tourist city. So if I go into like a butcher and I'm like, do you parle inglese? Do you speak English? They're like, no shot. I'm like,
get the hell out of here.
All right. I'm just going to point at the meat I want and buckle up.
Do you speak Italian yet?
Yeah.
Are you getting better?
Yeah. A little bit, but I only speak English with our kids because it's the sort of, it's the system where it's tried and true. The mom or one of the parents speaks the mother language. So one parent speaks the mother tongue of whatever language they want to like bestow upon their kids.
Yeah.
And then the other parent speaks the other language. So we've even heard stories where maybe like one parent speaking German, the other parent speaking Spanish, maybe like a nanny speaking, you know, like Romanian or something.
Yeah.
And they're getting hit with like 3 languages, and the kid won't speak for like, you know, 3 years. And the parents like, holy shit, our kid is like a mute. Like he doesn't, they don't speak any language. We, you know, they're ruined. And then like it'll click, and then they speak, you know, they start speaking all these languages. So a bilingual child can sometimes be a little bit, you know, not stunted. That's the wrong word. Delayed in when they start speaking, because they're getting like, you know, hit.
They're downloading a lot.
They're downloading a lot.
Yeah. So I'm super jealous of that. And it's like our kids are learning English and Italian without even realizing it. You know, I just turned 38 in January. Learning Italian, like it hurts my brain. Like like when we're at dinner and everybody's speaking Italian, my brain is not a sponge anymore. I have to like engage, and like I feel it. I'm not joking. I'm like, when I engage, and I'm like, I'm picking up. I know that word. I kind of like, you know, and but it's like you feel your brain. You're like, I'm getting dehydrated. I need some water. Like it's taxing. So, but it's great. I love it.
Yeah, look at you. Look at your life, Jeremiah. A little Italy, a little Colorado.
Sounds relaxing in Italy.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds amazing.
It's pretty great. I feel very fortunate. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy for you, Jay. Keep the good work up. Go grab Piano second record. This is gonna be exciting. Is there any Italian vibes in the record? Are there some accordions? Are there any bits of Italy can you feel from these tracks?
Oh, man, the only Italian aspect of it is probably there's a song called Spirals on the record that have samples of my son, daughter, and wife, who are all Italian, talking and laughing and playing. That's probably the only Italian aspect of it. There's no accordions, unfortunately. Accordions from Piano 3, though. Mark my word.
Let's go.
You heard it here. You heard it here first.
On the a world saving exclusive by Jeremiah. There will be accordions on Piano 3.
It's gonna be all accordion.
Thanks for being on the show, bud. Whatever's going on in your life made you come back to Denver. I hope it's good. Hope you feel good.
Thanks,
and
man.
You know, we're here for you, bro. Thanks for always being here for us.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Jeremiah.
Thank you.
Buddy.